Hello everyone, Dan 14th Prime here, doing another video share today on a new addition to the Primepire. This is the XM Studios Transformers Megatron. Another addition to the line for me. I'm still after just Starscream now to have on PO this entire line from XM. This guy is new old stock, a couple years old by now, but I hunted him down in Southeast Asia and brought him in myself. Not kind these days with shipping prices, but I got him for basically the maximum of what I thought a reasonable price to pay for the guy was. And considering I've been looking for this thing for like a year, happy to check him off the list, leaving me now just focus on Starscream. But with Megatron here in front of you, we get everything you've expected from this line, and we've come to love this contemporary G1 design. This still makes a lot of the G1 callbacks that you'd expect to see, but does it in a much more detailed, modern, sort of stylized way. But again, still maintaining those recognizable G1 attributes. So Megatron here in this getup, he's about 26, 27 inches tall, about as deep with the leaning forward pose and the right cannon up, and pretty dang wide too, with the sword here flaring out to the side, probably 22 or so inches wide. So this is a big piece, obviously a lot of volume in terms of the airspace it occupies. There are some configurations you can do to bring the arm down, do away with the sword and make them a bit more compact. It's actually not a bad piece to display relative to many others in the line. As always, if you want to check out the unboxing, some close-ups of all the parts, and just see some of the different configurations, check me out on Instagram, same handle, Dan14th Prime. Do all my unboxing and most of my collection sharing out there these days. Whenever I get something in the Primepire, I post a story and I save that story down into my profile so it's there for future reference. So check that out on the gram, Dan14th Prime. But for now, let's jump in closer here on Megatron. Let's start down here at the base, and it's very recognizable, this kind of Cybertronium, almost kind of waffle pattern that sits underneath of it. Then there's always just different types of debris and parts and things sitting over the top, which you see with this, I don't know, parts of a hand or something maybe, or just like a foot pedestal or kind of base of something. Maybe this is a wrecked gun. But that is all kind of pretty consistent with the line. We'll just kind of give them a spin. And we'll just miss the sword here. Check out the leg and stuff, but this base all the way around, again, underneath that waffle pattern, you get this kind of rocky underlying base, get some accents going through it, some parts buried into it. So no, they've been consistent with it. I think it works, makes sense, looks pretty good. I could probably do with them being a bit less thick. I don't think they need to provide that much elevation for these pieces, which are already pretty large, but whatever, we'll live with that. We'll jump up to the lower legs here. I mean, very signature callbacks for Megatron. The black lower leg pieces that would always be like the handle of the gun when it transforms. You see that all the way around. But you see some nice inner workings of paint detail and red and gears and stuff like that going around. Kind of silver-ish kind of tone to him overall, but it's very muted, kind of like a flat silver, maybe satin at best kind of finish, so he's not like super glossy, like the toy was or anything like that. All of these panels, you just say, yep, G1, toy or cartoon, either way. So it looks really good, and again, they mix in a lot of nice details that just sort of jazz up that otherwise pretty bland cartoon design, just to put all kinds of mechanics and working pieces into it. Nice kind of weathered paint accenting all across it, kind of worn out. Kind of greasy a little bit looking in some areas. Just like Grimlock that we saw not too long ago, a couple months or so ago when I got him in. So very consistent. Exactly what you expect here. Looks pretty good all the way around those lower legs. Then let's go upstairs here. The legs into the black waist section. Very recognizable. Again, you see some copper accents. Pretty good with the core. Megatron's core was very signature in G1 as well. It's pretty good here. It fits definitely with the piece. It probably could have done with a bit more of those callbacks. There were always like bright colors, almost button-looking things on his core that we don't get here. So they tone that down a bit. Chest with the big, beautiful Decepticon logo. Loving that. And then here I've got the light-ups on this head sculpt, which is the most G1 head sculpt. It's actually unusually much larger than the other head sculpt. So I think both the head sculpts, this one's probably too big. That one's probably too small, you'll see. But I still prefer it because it's the most G1 true, less stylized. We'll take a closer look at that, but just so you see the lights are on. Again, going this way, you can have the raised arm Come back around, it's even higher than I thought, so we'll come back to that. Light up in that cannon as well, which is just okay. But gets a bit shinier upstairs, which I think is good. A little more kind of satin finish, like I said, versus some of the matte dark grays, so you get different types of silver, gray, mixing blends in and stuff. There's that sword. I dig the sword, it's cool. You know, the ball and chain is more G1. I'll show it to you, but I don't love the ball and chain as much as the sword. And different accents around. I could have done without these giant plates here. It reminds me more like trying to do like a tank mode thing with him than gun mode. I could have done with that being a bit cleaner looking. And again, with this piece, kind of wide stance and lean forward, so not as tall as some of the other pieces. Still very large, but you can see just from this back view how much he is sort of leaning forward there. Little gun accent off of the back. Again, very G1 and looks super, super cool. And this way here, you kind of see that lean forward, see that raised arm straight out. Then let's just try to jump all the way upstairs here. You check out the signature arm cannon. I thought they did a nice job with that. Much more contemporary, but looks super cool. Very alien looking. Just really looks like a freaking gun. Tons of cables going through it, different types of accents. Whatever this would be, some sort of exhaust port looking thing. Just really, really digging that. Again, you see the right accents with sort of the red in between the arm. And if we try to give this guy a spin, there you can see light up in the cannon. I mean, okay. It's sort of got like a slightly purple lens to it and just a light bulb in there. I mean, it's fine. Nothing really spectacular. There's that straight on. And then the rest of the head. Let's jump in on the head. So there's that G1 head. And again, here you can compare this to the more contemporary stylized head. Just look at the difference in size. Maybe they had to make this bigger because it has the light up eyes, so there's a battery compartment and everything on top. I don't know, but it's really just like this one feels a bit small on him. This one feels a bit big, maybe closer. Something in between would have been perfect. No light up, I can tell on this one, just kind of all sculpted and painted. And this is, for me, very stylized. I didn't love, when I first saw these released, the Megatron Starscream head sculpt. I just think all these lines and different things they're doing, kind of humanoid looking, way too stylized. I still feel that way. I think Megatron's probably the worst of them. So it's okay, you know, you could live with it, but fortunately you get an alternative with this head, which I think I will go with. But this head here, yeah, you get the smirk in there. The whole mouth thing's a little bit hard to kind of see what the hell they were trying to do in the whole mouth section a bit, but they try to give him a bit of a smirk. Got the, you know, the bucket helmet kind of look going on, kind of the vents and things on the sides. So really happy they included that head sculpt. Now, assorted swap outs you can do upstairs. As mentioned, we can get rid of this head. We could also get rid of the fist here. And go with that more contemporary head right there. You can see just how much smaller that looks. And this more open hand effect here. Which I do dig those. Same thing in his left hand. We can take this out here. Very strong magnet here as well. And we can just go with an open left hand as well. Or we can go with the G1 mace. And what you can't tell here yet is the chain is way too long for this thing. Let's kind of switch up the angle here. You can see here the mace lays on the ground. Not sure why they did that. You can wrap the chain up. I don't love this because the mace is pretty heavy. You can definitely see the arm taking the weight when you do that. But you can kind of wrap it around the back here. Gotta get my hand out of the way eventually. But you can see it's kind of like, what's the point anyway? Because it just dangles behind the left leg. So for me, there's no good way to display it. It has a light up as well, but I haven't bothered because I figure I'll never use it. But it's more of like a flashing light up effect. But yeah, kind of a little bit of a fail on that one all the way around, I think. And then to get his most compact look, we can bring the other right arm into play, which will lower it for us. Lots of super strong magnets here, which is great, except when you want to take it apart. And then this arm here, you can see it sits in much tighter to the body, just sort of hangs down. You'll lose a lot of that forward effect that it has, and also probably height, because the way the top of that cannon sits, it's pretty high. Might be maybe not quite as tall as that thing off his back, but it's right there. And again, if you go fist or open hand there, but This is probably the most basic way you could display him, and it's good. It's just like very classic looking, menacing. It's like he's striding right at you kind of look. So I do dig that as well. Just swapping out the heads there so you can see that with the G1 look. Really nice way to display him if you're really tight on space. Could even have him holding that sword. Probably it wouldn't hurt you too much more. Next up here, let's take a look at the alt mode here. And again, they stuck to G1. Would have been easy to do something different, you know, a bomber plane or a tank or something like that we often see Megatron in these more contemporary times. But no, they stuck to G1, which is fantastic. They gave us the, what is it, Walther P-38, something like that, with the, you know, the long extended stock and all of that. So it's exactly like the cartoon, exactly like the toy. Super cool, kind of a strange display. He sits on this metal pole, elevated, and just sort of balances on the end. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue over time. Suppose if you were concerned, you could put like a clear riser or something there to support the handle a bit more. But this piece, you know, these pieces 1/10 scale, they don't carry that through to the alt modes. The alt modes are nice extras that they throw in. They're often quite chunky. When you look at Optimus Prime's truck, for example, Starscream's jet, those are large separate pieces unto themselves. So it really helps the paddle a little bit with some of the price of these things, because they're basically like separate statues. So, you know, they don't scale it, and thankfully, because 1/10 of the Walther P-38 would be quite small. But you can see here just my hand. It's a bit on the smaller side. I mean, given what they were going for here, there's no reason why they couldn't have done that exact 1-for-1 type size. And I don't know, that was a small gun back in the day, but I think still here there's no way. That's definitely been scaled down, maybe 75% kind of scale type thing. I mean, they could have made it basically like exactly like the size of the toy. That would have been probably perfect. This is still good. I'm just saying, you compare to some of the other alt mode proximity pieces, it feels a bit less. Let me just get you one good pan on this piece. Again, the long stock, some nice accents here. Just black stock into the black handle. Again, that looks just like the toy. But definitely on this more toy inspiration, I would say, because the cartoon, well, very plain probably looking. Super stylized kind of on the scope there. And then he's got the long extended barrel. But definitely it all looks good. Everything's there. I would think, yeah, I was just checking the other side, make sure I wasn't missing it. But yeah, we don't get like a Decepticon logo like what his chest would be. That would have been a cool little something they could have added. But they're fun. I had definitely a place in mind where to display that. There you have it, guys. XM Transformers G1 Megatron. It's a good piece. It is a good piece. It's not the best in the line, but it's really super solid. There's lots of great details. You notice every time you look at it, like you spun around there, I just noticed the back of that arm cannon. Lots of nice sort of heat weathered sort of look coming out of the back of that thing, that like blast shield thing. So yeah, just one of these pieces you can enjoy, look at each time. Lots of intricate detail, but still calls back to what we, or I, know and loved as a kid, and that's that G1 Transformers look. So for me, he's going in Magi case right next to Optimus. I think they're going to look super cool together. Got Nemesis Prime literally coming tomorrow, I believe, and then Soundwave is on the way, probably later in Jan or February. Then as far as we know, just Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime still to come. And then again, Starscream for me still to backstill. And we'll see what they do, what else with the line, if anything. Probably tough to go too deep at the price point these things are at, but there's definitely still some characters they could do that I think people would have a lot of energy for. You know, given that they're giving us Rodimus / Hot Rod, you know, they could do some other Season 3 characters like a Galvatron or something like that. Would be pretty cool as well. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't run out of space before they finish up the line. But definitely happy to add this guy into the Prime Pyre. Always got to have Optimus and Megatron paired up. I think it just looks great together, and this will be no exception. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Again, check me out on Instagram, same handle, Dan14th Prime. I'll have a story saved down in my profile, unboxing on this guy, assembly, things like that. And you can check out my collection there on a more everyday basis. Just sharing what's in the Prime Pyre. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. See you next time.